Student Activities Officer.
Supports and develops extracurricular activities amongst students, including societies, events and volunteering.
All right, so first of all, guys, I wanted to ask you, you've both got a lot of experience in student groups, and what do you think that's given you in terms of the skills that would suit you for this role? Start with Sam.
As I said, I've been involved in quite a range of groups. As I said, I've been from music to politics to academic societies. As I said, I've got quite a broad range. Also, given I've been on societies committee in my second year now, I looked after the academic and educational societies, and I look after music and performance. So I've done quite a lot there in sort of helping get new societies set up, and when they've had problems, I've sort of been one of their main contacts. So I've not only ran societies myself, but actually been in that position of helping set ones up. For example, Cyber Society and Psychology and Education. I've been part of, I've been helping them to set up and get going, and it's been really good to see how they've developed. And CyberSoc, who actually won an award that I had the honour to present to them, so I've got quite a lot of experience in there from a wide range of societies.
Fantastic. And Oscar?
Okay, I really think you struggle to find a more experienced candidate than myself, if I'm being honest, to be activities officer. So I was president of VegShock, I was deputy editor and editor of news. As a college rag rep in my first year, and I've also been involved in numerous eco-volunteering opportunities, so I've really hit like all four prongs of activities. I've been treasurer, secretary and president, and VegShock and news, both large societies with over 100 people in. But I'm also used to working within both YUSU and the university and lobbying them, so as a part-time officer I really understand how it works, and I think I'd be really effective at getting in straight away at working on my manifesto, rather than maybe spending 2 or 3 months finding my feet. I also work in estates, so estates is a key area that the activities officer has to battle with, so I really understand how that works as well.
All right, brilliant. So you've both talked about how you have the skills, and at Candidate Debate Night, actually, we addressed the topic of freedom of speech, and then a lot of you spoke about student media and your views on that. Obviously, we've had a recent scandal with York Vision, and they've been suspended until the next year. Do you think it's sensible at this time that we should be talking about giving student media more freedom or less? Start with Oscar.
So as I kind of said in the debate yesterday, I think it's important for student media to be able to publish what they need to, but they also need to be able to self-regulate and know what's acceptable to publish. So there were stories when I was editor and deputy editor that we were kind of pulled from publishing or had to redact heavily. And then when I discussed it with David Banks, the legal advisor, afterwards, he was actually like, you shouldn't really have been made to do that. That was they were quite overstepping. But obviously, with the Vision scandal, that's exactly what I'm talking about, in that media need to self-regulate and know what is acceptable to publish.
And how would you implement that?
So I would work to have training, not just training in the technical skills such as using the software, but training as is kind of done now on the legal side, but also in the skills behind journalism as well. So
right.
Not just what is ethical to publish, but how to work on it and how to build a good story so that scandals like this don't happen.
Okay, and Sam, what's your opinion on that?
So I think obviously what happened with York Vision was pretty wrong. I think it could have led to quite a lot of problems if people actually sent them photos in.
Yeah.
So I do think we need to have some regulation, but keep it as minimal as possible. So obviously have it all signed off by YUSU before it goes to print. But on the whole sort of freedom of speech side, and as Oscar said, having to redact comments, I don't think that. I mean, obviously, if it is genuinely illegal, like libelous to be pushing these comments, then they should be stopped. But not, as he said, about these comments where it actually was legal and within the law. That it needs to have enough freedom so we can do that. As I said, I'd say give them more freedom, but also with that freedom comes a responsibility not to do anything stupid, as York Vision did.
All right, fantastic. So moving on then, a lot of you have spoken about space and time as being key issues for student groups. Which do you think is more important in terms of space usage and obviously time management for students? And how does your manifesto tackle this? Start with Sam.
So I've, from my own experience with concert band, I have the drum kit that I keep in my house. That's only because I'm the only committee member who's got a car who can get to campus. Now, what happens next year when I'm not on their committee anymore and they've got to take that someone else? How are they going to cope if you don't have it?
And how do you propose to tackle that issue?
Well, we need to find more space, frankly. Like, I know we had a space somewhere that it was being kept, but then we got told to move it from this unused space. So I think tackling that problem, where there is space, we need to make sure we get it, and also actually have a look at what space we currently have. Is there any way we can sort of maximise that space? And maybe if it's a bit cluttered.
I'm going to have to move on to Oscar on this question now.
So as you mentioned, I think time is obviously a big issue in terms of people having the amount of time to enjoy and participate in student groups. One of the reasons I'm running to be activities officer is I kind of had a bit of an epiphany in second year. I was like, why am I always busy all the time? And I was like, oh, it's because I do all these different amazing opportunities. So fitting them all in can be difficult. Again, space is a really key issue. There's kind of this narrative peddled that there isn't any space, and I'm not saying there's a lot of space. It's definitely minimal. But as I said at the debate, through talking to people at estates, they are willing to give student groups more space. YUSU just now needs to take the onus on logging the space they have, so the university can trust them on that.
This is Candidate Interview Night.
On URY.
Hey guys, so I've met Ollie before, but if you all want to just go through quickly and sum up your manifestos, introduce yourselves, and
The three biggest points on my manifesto are a refreshers fair, skill-based courses, and expanding the activities access grant brought forward by Finn Judge last year. I want to make people smile, and I want to make their experience at university the best it possibly can be.
And your name was?
Brian Wally Terry.
Thank you.
I'm Nick Lunn, and my manifesto promises are to really just fight the uni to give students a better deal, just generally across the board, and also to make USU more supportive of its societies and its volunteering and its RAG. I want to make sticking fairer. I want to give societies a lifeline in times of stress and struggle. I want to reform the finance office to make it, actually efficient, so it pays things on time, and so people actually end up being able to use it effectively. And I want a better EMF, amongst a load of other things, but mainly it's fighting the uni and making our university experience better by that fight.
Hi, I'm Ollie Martin. I'm also running. So I want to update and improve use of events. I think the events calendar is weird. There's not enough students involved with it. I want to get students involved with Summer Ball, Freshers Festival, and also the YUSU Club Nights. They've not changed in the 4 years I've been here. Also want to improve how the university acknowledges the value of student activities. So your core needs overhauling to make it more relevant to employers. And also I want to improve accessibility to activities all year round. So students often feel like after the first time they missed the boat, so let's keep pushing Give It a Go, potentially look at doing a refreshers fair. And also finally, I want to bring regular live music back to campus. We literally have Hendrix Hall on campus. Jimi Hendrix played there. It's an absolute tragedy that we don't still have live music regularly.
Thank you. So I'm going to go straight into a controversial topic. I've done my reading on all of you guys, and I know there may or may not be some conflicting views on the whole refreshers fair idea. I mean, some of you may be for, some of you may be against. So if you want to start, and we can go ahead. Yep.
So I believe that a refreshers fair gives an opportunity for students to get into societies. The first freshers fair does attract a lot of students into student groups. However, let's face it, you could be disorientated, you might not be aware of it, you could just be hungover. Yeah. I think that once students are settled in after about 6 months in January after the exams, the timing for this can still be discussed. A refreshers fair should take place. We've actually previously had a refreshers fair some years ago, but it was phased out for some reason. So it can be done. I believe that we should bring it back.
So do you think the fact that it was phased out may be saying something, or?
I don't think that because it was phased out, it's not a viable option. I still believe that there's a real strong possibility, and I also believe that students want this. Speaking to students today, they've come across really positively for the idea of a refreshers fair.
Okay, and Nick?
Oh, I think I would, honestly, as someone who has been to 3 freshers fairs as a stall manager, as someone who's been on multiple stalls each of those freshers fairs, I couldn't disagree with that idea more strongly, to be honest. The conception behind it, the idea of trying to make students more involved in societies, that's fantastic. And we should make societies more visible generally across the uni. But freshers fair takes about half of the summer term to plan, to organise, and then to run it is absolutely mad. Do that twice in a year would be just too much on most students, especially propose doing that around the start of, say, second term to get people re-engaged around exam time when people are starting to actually have the stress to their degree. That's far too hard, and I think that's putting way too much strain on societies. I've talked to a lot of society committee members about such an idea, and they don't want that just purely for the stress. They want a better Freshers' Fair, certainly. They want a more accessible one, but not to just have a second, because it's far too much work.
I think I'd probably follow up and actually disagree with Nick again. So, from my experience, I was on the Halifax College Committee, and we organised Refreshers Week last year, and actually we did our own Societies Fair, and we had societies fighting to get in. We ended up having to do 2 sessions to fit them all in. So there were societies that were really happy to do a Freshers Fair, and I think actually the effort put in after, once you've done it at Freshers Week, you can just reuse your leaflets. I'm a societies president, sports team president. I run the Mountaineering Club, and frankly, for us, it would just be a case of getting the same leaflets out again and redoing it. So I think the effort put in for a Refreshers Fair would be less than that would be required for a Freshers Fair.
But why would you need a Refreshers Fair? Why another one?
Well, I think we find that a lot of students just after first term, there's that initial buzz of people getting involved in societies, but people really feel like they don't have the opportunity to join after that. I think you have to really go out of your way and be outgoing to join a society midway through the year. So I think Refreshers Fair would establish this idea that there is another opportunity where you can kind of start clean again to join.
And if I can go back to Brian, what would this role mean to you? And I'll go, start from you and go all the way down to Ollie. So what does this role mean to you? Why is it important to you?
I stood up for this role because I really enjoy and want to make students' lives better at university. The reason behind the Where's Wally costume was, in first year I realised a lot of people were stressed about exams, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to dress up as Where's Wally and make people smile. It's the same sort of premise behind this. Some people are going to get a laugh out of it, and I think that that's what matters. If I become student activities officer, I want to make everybody just happier at university.
Nice. Nick.
I can be quite simple and quite short. I want to be activities officer because I want to fix injustice across campus, especially when it comes to student activities. There's a lot of times when students don't get the full experience they deserve or the things they should get, and I think that it's a crying shame. And someone who believes in injustice politics like that, I really want to make sure that students get the full experience. So as activities officer, I would seek to make sure that this uni was better for students just generally.
Perfect. Nolly?
I think for me, activities have just been the absolute highlight of my time at university. As much as I love my degree, I spend so much of my time, on the committee, Halifax committee, doing, organising events for people with mountaineering. It's a huge part of what I do, and actually, I think it makes me more efficient with my degree. So I think what I really want is to make sure that people always feel like they can get involved, and keep pushing that.
And also, you said activities all year round, not just sign up at Refreshers.
Yeah, I think they're a massive thing for mental health. I think my well-being is pretty much attached to how much stuff I'm doing outside of
I would totally agree with that as well.
Yes, definitely.
What I've experienced.
Well, thank you very much, both from 3 great candidates as well as the other 2 before, and best of luck, gents. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
On air, 1350 AM and online.
This is the University of York's student radio station.